Right.
Okay, Parsha Noach. So we know Noach is called righteous in his generation, B'darav. And Rashi on that gives two explanations. Explanation number two is in his generation, he was considered righteous. But had he lived in the generation of Abraham, then he wouldn't have been so much. The problem with that is if you take out this trusty art scroll timeline over here, you see that Avram was born in the year 1948 and Noach died in the year 2006. So that means they did live in the same generation. Their lives overlapped by 58 years, and that's an easy one to remember because the gematria of Noach is 58. So question number one is, how can you say that, oh, if Noach had have lived in Avram's generation, they lived in the same generation? Question number two is that in Perek Yava, in the fifth parak, it says there were 10 generations between Adam and Noach. And then it says there were 10 generations between Noach and Abraham. So why is Noach getting counted twice over here in both sets of generations? So an answer I have from one of my rabbis is like this. Noach lived one lifespan, but he lived in two different generations. There was the generation of the flood, and then there was the generation post-flood. And those worlds were very different worlds. In the generation pre-flood, Noach was what was a tzaddik in that generation? A tzaddik was someone who did not get influenced by what was going on in that generation. And Noach alone, single-handedly, was able to be that, not get corrupted by what was going on. But once the flood happened, the world changed as well. And that meant that the definition of tzaddik changed. In that world, the tzaddik of Avram, his way was the definition of tzaddik. And Noach didn't change when the world changed. And what we learn from this is the principle that the definition of tzaddik, of what a tzaddik is not something that's static. It changes based on the generation and based on the time. So the question we have to ask is like, okay, in our time, what is the definition of tzaddik today? And we don't have prophets. We don't know God's will fully. So then when we're in a case of doubt, we have to be machmeh for all opinions. So what does that mean practically? We have to be machmeh for Noach's way, and we have to be machmeh for Avram's way. We have to be not machmeh for Noach's way of his definition of tzaddik, in that, especially with what's going on, we hear a lot of people coming into defense of Hamas, and it's easy to feel like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Our job is to hold on to our inner Noach and not get corrupted, not be influenced, and be in touch with right and wrong. But at the same time, we also have to be in touch with our inner Avram. Avram is considered the pillar of chesed, but if you think about Avram's life, he's very multifaceted, and he had a very difficult life. At a very young age, he discovers God. And now he's effectively alone in the world, him with his belief system. Then he tries to convince other people. His dad gets hold of it. His dad gets him thrown in a furnace. He's been betrayed by his father. He then struggles to have children for many years. He has a very hard life, and then he loses his wife at a relatively young age in that time. So he had a very difficult life. And within that context, he's still considered this pillar of chesed. So Avram is not just Mr. Chesed, he's Mr. Chesed despite going through hard times. And that is what our aspiration has to be. And it's not realistic, but we can try for a day, for an hour, for a conversation to try and hold on to Avram's definition of righteousness and be righteous at least for a moment. And in the merit of us trying to emulate our two holy forefathers, both Noach and Avram, may we merit to see the blessings that the promises that they were given. To Noach, God said, he said, the end of the world is coming before me. Why? The world is filled with this thing called Hamas, and I'm going to destroy them from the land. That was God's promise to Noach, and God's promise to Avram was, on that day, Karat Hashemet, Avram Brit Lemor. God made a covenant with Avram. To your children, Natati Ta'aret Hazot. I'm going to give this land, Minna Mitzrayim, Adam Nahar Gadol Nahar Parat. Thank you.
Yeshikoach. Excellent job. We will be back. Excuse me. We'll be back on Sunday night. Have a very good Shabbos, everybody.